Greetings mortals. Welcome to my World War I video series that I have been working on for quite a while. In this video, I will be covering the startup of the war and why it happened, the alliances between countries, the tactics and what the armies were doing in the war, propaganda, and a bunch of other things surrounding the First World War. First off, let us start the video by explaining the cause of the First World War. Archduke Franz Ferdinand was heir to the throne of Archduke Karl Ludwig of Austria. Him and his wife Sophie were planning to tour the city of Sarajevo in Bosnia. He decided to be a dum-dum and hope he won't get attacked, so he leaves in an open-top car and only have a small number of policemen patrolling the streets. Austria-Hungary was quite a large empire. They had taken over lands, and as a consequence many different groups of people from different countries that had been taken over was living inside the country's borders. Amongst these groups nationalistic feeling was running high. This means that many people were prepared to resort to violence to regain their own country. In a nearby country named Serbia, Colonel API had gathered together and gave weapons to a group of young individuals and gave them an assignment to assassinate Franz Ferdinand. They went by the name the B. The leader of the group was Gavrilo Princip. The other members were Nedjeljko Kabranovic, Danilo Ilić, Trifko Garbez, Mohamed Mehmed Basic, Vaso Kabralovic and Kvjko Popovic. They were armed with pistols, grenades and cyanide pills. On the 28th of June 1914, Franz Ferdinand and his wife began their tour of Sarajevo. The assassins lined up along the main street ready to attack. They were spaced along the road that an officer told them Franz would be passing through on his tour. This shows just how low the security was during the tour, and it was the lack of security which inevitably led to Franz Ferdinand's death. The car came rolling by the first member, Mohamed Mehmed Basic. Mohamed decided to abandon the assassination and decided not to act, instead watching the car drive past. Next was Nedjeljko Kabranovic. Nedjeljko grabbed his grenade and pulled the pin, then threw it at the vehicle Franz was in. Nedjeljko didn't remember that the grenade has a 10-second timer, so the car sped past it and blew up an officer's car behind them. Without even looking if he was successful, Nedjeljko took a cyanide pill, and jumped into the river to guarantee his death. This explosion was heard by the other assassins. It startled them enough for them to not do anything when the car dove past them all. The assassination was a failure. Gutted, Nedjeljko was later dragged out of the river, still alive. The cyanide was old and ineffective. Later that day, all the assassins gathered in the park. They were concerned and worried about Nedjeljko confessing everything about their plan. Meanwhile, their leader, Gavrilo Princip, went off to buy a sandwich. After he bought the sandwich, he stepped outside the shop for a smoke, and by sheer coincidence Franz's driver took a wrong turn and ended up right in front of him on their way to visit the injured officers in hospital that were damaged by the bomb from before. Gavrilo pulled out his gun and shot both Franz and his wife Sophie. Gavrilo took his cyanide and was about to shoot himself, but he was apprehended before he could do so, and as the same as Nedjeljko, the cyanide was ineffective. Austria-Hungary was understandably angry about this. They thought that Serbia was responsible, but didn't have any proof. Nedjeljko confessed that the guns they had were provided by Serbia, so Austria had their proof. They then declared war. Countries started making allies with other countries to increase their overall power and numbers. At the start of the war, Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia. Hungary have an alliance with Germany, and Serbia is allied with Russia, and Russia is friends with France. The UK and France have a kind of alliance, so when France declare war and is wondering whether the UK will join in, the UK decide to stay out of it. Which is great for Germany, which now have to deal with less forces. When Germany tries to get through France's borders by going through Belgium, the UK are annoyed that Germany is invading neutral countries, so they declare war. Start of the war, Germany's plan was to charge at France and defeat them. This would also knock Britain out of the war. Then after that they would charge after Russia and defeat Russia, winning the war. We would all then speak German and eat sausages and pretzels all day. But there was a problem with this plan. France had placed defensive barrier things along their borders to stop the invasion. But Belgium was wide open, and if Germany was to march their troops through Belgium they could bypass the barriers easily. So Germany marched their troops through Belgium in a friendly invasion of sorts. They sent 750,000 troops through Belgium to get to France. They were hoping that Belgium wouldn't fight back, but they do. And they actually slow the Germans down. Pretty impressive if you ask me. Of course I would be able to take on the whole of Germany despite not being able to move. But Belgium did alright. After a while of fighting, Britain decides to stop drinking their tea and eating their crumpets and help Belgium. Since they are not very happy that they are invading neutral countries, they then declare war on Germany. While we're on the topic of France, let's discuss their uniforms. French soldiers wore very brightly colored uniforms, which consists of a bright blue shirt and red trousers. These brightly colored uniforms made it easy for them to be spotted, namely, by the Germans. When the French soldiers were marching through the countryside or towns, the Germans easily spotted them and absolutely wrecked them with their enormous weaponry. Anyway, let's get back to the fighting. Oh hey there Russia. Russia was ready for war, and much faster than the Germans had anticipated. Austria-Hungary tried to fight Russia but got shreked. So Germany had to send some troops over to help Austria-Hungary fight Russia so they didn't get squashed. Around this time, propaganda became widespread to try and get people to join the army. They used propaganda to make war seem like a game, and an adventure out with the lads. This worked with many people because many people then joined the forces. Although this wouldn't work on me because I have no friends. Not like I need friends anyway. They only get in the way and take your money. Like, imagine if a friend of yours took £70 from you and refused to pay it back. Who would do that? What a jerk. Cough cough. Since I'm bored though, I've decided to make my own propaganda. I'm known as one of the best artists in all of catkind. Mainly because I'm the only one that can actually hold a pencil, but that's not important. Well, feast your mortal eyes on this.
The years start coming and they don't stop coming. Back to the rules and I hit the ground running. It makes sense, not the real fun. Get smart, but your head gets dumb.